The fact that at this stage of your life you're choosing to define your identity doesn't mean that it cannot be modified as you grow, as circumstances come. But even when you want to modify those things, I feel like it's important to go back to the core. Forgive my very crude dancing. Anyways, welcome to part 2 of my identity video. I hope you've watched the first part where I talk about why it is important for you to discover and choose your identity very early. If you have not, the video is going to come up. Please watch it just so you can better follow the story and what I'm saying. I shared a personal story of something that shaped my identity and how I view the world, so please go back and watch it, guys. Alrighty, I'm not going to waste time today. We're going to get to the meat. We're going to begin to talk about the starting steps for you to begin to define your identity, especially as a teenager, just learning about adulting. So, I'll say this. First and foremost, I want us to be aware, like I shared in my last video, that most times, some of the things we think or we accept as our identity are just trauma bonds. Trauma bonds, that's it. Based on the things we've experienced, based on the things we've seen our parents, our uncles, our friends experience, and we just accept that. So it's important to know, like if you're saying, oh, I don't need any of this, I know who I am, great, I wish you know who you are, and I'll be very happy that you do. But also, think about it. Is that really who you are or who you want to be? Or are those really just trauma bonds and patterns you've observed because of the traumas that you've been through in life? So guys, the number one step to start to identify yourself is to go back to the basics. We're gonna be going back to the basics, back to where it all began. So guys, I'm gonna be reading from Genesis 1 verse 27 and I'll read 28. And I'm reading the NIV version. It says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." 28. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground." So first and foremost, back to the basics. Your identity is rooted in the fact that you are a blessed human being. Now, I'll read verse 31. It says, "God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day." Number 2 point to pick from this is that you are very good. Your identity should start with you knowing that you are blessed, meaning you can achieve whatever it is that you feel you should or you feel called to achieve that adds value to someone else, that adds value to the world. Things are not made to be against you. You can overcome whatever challenge it is. And secondly, you are very good. You're not a waste. I don't care what someone has told you. You're not a waste. You're not useless. You are talented. You are not like someone who has no talent. Now that's the core. To me, that's like the centerpiece. Now, I also must say this. The fact that at this stage of your life you're choosing to define your identity doesn't mean that it cannot be modified as you grow, as circumstances come. But even when you want to modify those things, I feel like it's important to go back to the core. Start from the core. The fact that you were made for good. You were made to be a blessing, and you are already blessed. Now, not to say that you don't sometimes want to shoot the guy beside you because he just said something that stepped on your toes. But it doesn't take away from the fact that inherent in you, if you don't believe anything about yourself, believe this: inherently you were made for good and you are blessed. Now that's number one. Now the second thing is, who do you want to become? Like, actually pause this video at this point. Take a minute to think about it. Who do you want to become? Like, who do you want to become? Not who you've been, not who you think you are. Who do you want to become? Now, personally, I'm someone who has a very, very active imagination. Like, I tell stories in my head. I don't do storytelling for a living, but I just sit down and daydream and tell stories in my head. And I remember in high school, our literature teacher asked us to write a story of something about ourselves in the future. And I did. And because I had a very, very exploratory imagination, very vivid imagination, I literally wrote everything down to the detail. Like, I wrote how I want to be pregnant someday, and I want to have a kid, and I want to have this, like things that you naturally shouldn't, maybe other kids weren't as detailed or whatever, or she probably didn't expect me to be that, imaginative. And I wrote all those things down, and she read the essay, and she, gave us a score and all of that. And then I didn't get a good score. I think I was like 5/10 or average or something like that. And I didn't know why. And then the next day she came to class and she was like, okay, so she's gonna have some of us come out and read our essays so that the class will know what some of us wrote. Maybe the ones, I guess she was trying to find examples of like good versus not good or good versus bad essays. And she asked me to come to the front of the class. And again, this was me, innocent. I didn't even know, if mine was going to be good or bad or whatever. I just obeyed, stood up, and I went to the front of the class and I read out my essay. And when I got to the part where I was explaining what I wanted to see in my life, who I wanted to be, how I wanted to be, and I was reading it out, and she burst out into laughter. Yeah. She started laughing at me in front of the whole class. And of course, the other kids also started laughing because the teacher is laughing. And she was like, what exactly are you saying? Who needs all of this? We don't need to, this is not what I'm talking about. Maybe you should be saying you want to be an engineer. I don't know what it was she expected from me. But honestly, of course I felt devastated, and sad. But basically that single thing she did really just made me to not want to use my imagination again. I'm like, well, I guess my imagination is too much for people. I should just shorten it and dampen it. But I thank God for how far I've come from then to now. I've had mentors and people and just looking at the world around me. And I've come to find my identity from this same imagination that this teacher had told me to drop years ago. And so I go back to ask the question, who do you want to become? Imagine it, think it, articulate it, write it down, journal, or just simply think about it. Now that's another good point or starting point for you to find your identity. The Bible says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So it's not even like as a man has acted for a while, then he becomes like that. It starts with what you think about yourself, who you believe you should be. So I usually say to myself that I'm a solution provider. I'm a solution to my generation. Now, have I invented something that the world went crazy about and everyone is calling the next Einstein? No, I have not. Will I? Maybe, maybe not. But it does not change the fact that anytime I have the opportunity to provide a solution, I believe that I'm a solution provider, and so I act in accordance to that. At work, I try to provide solutions as much as I can. And so it's like the fact that I believe that about myself, even my actions tend to align with that. So who do you want to be? Teenage girls between the ages of 15 through 19 I have an opportunity for you, an exciting opportunity for you. I take dream calls. If you want to dream with me, if you want to just talk to me, I take weekly calls, and you can reach out to me or leave a comment below if you're between the ages of 15 to 19 and you identify as a female. I want to hear from you. If you have nobody trying to listen to you, I want to listen to you. I want to hear from you. Let us dream together. If you don't know where to start, if you're like, well, I don't know who I want to be, I guess I want to be this, it's okay. It's okay not to know, but it's good to start from somewhere. And so leave a comment if you want to get on a call with me and just dream. Let us just dream together. Leave a comment below. This is also one of the things we do in our mentorship program. We will be doing a lot of things about identity and recognizing yourself and choosing yourself and excelling and being the best self you've been created to be. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, share. Love you, love you, love you.